Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast, your one-stop shop for all things rugby union. And it's a skeleton crew today, to be fair. I'm back in studio. Fortunately, I don't have my good friend Piti Wipu with me here today. He's in cleanup duty at the moment. Looks like Wellington College has been pranked. There's a few toilet rolls through the trees there. I hear there's also been a bit of canola oil poured down the stairs. So that looks like a wee bit of an OSH issue. So he's busy there. But we do have our good friend Surly up at Surly Talk Sports. Surly, welcome back in, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Not dealing with the same issues Piti's dealing with, thankfully. It's been a while since prank week myself, but thoroughly enjoyed that. Always good those last few days of high school, eh? You just run amok and other people have to deal with the repercussions. It's great.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Stop me
Exactly.
from coming to school? Too late. Never mind. Good luck to Piti. Hope he gets through that cleanup okay. It's time for us to clean up, to be fair, Surly. The NPC season is all done and dusted. Why don't we have a look at the bidding from last week first? I don't think it makes pretty reading at all. I know Carl was running the cutter last weekend, and he put in. What did he put in? I've got a few of his bets here, I think. Oh, there. I think he had one bet, Otago to win the NPC final by 1-12. Fortunately, that was a loss. He was down 100 for the week, and he's down $74 for the season. So that's not too bad for him. Who else? Oh, Steve Devine. He had 4 bets last weekend. He had a draw at halftime, Otago to win. He had another bet, Otago to win by 1-12. He had first scoring play for Canterbury to be a penalty. That was no good. And then he had first scoring play for Otago to also be a penalty. That was no good. He was down 100 for the week, and he's down $1,025 for the season. Who else have we got here? No Goldie last week.
It was me.
It was
And
you.
I didn't win. I had the same bet as Steve, the first scoring points Canterbury. That was just a coincidence. And then I had a multi for Otago involved, plus 9.5, Pledger and Fihaki to score. And then I had Otago 1-12, I think. So I was big on the Golden O. And unfortunately, Canterbury too good.
I think you actually had either team to win by under 7.5.
Oh, and it was 8.
Wasn't too far away.
Oh.
So, yeah, Surly down 100 for the week, down 338.27 for the season. I didn't get a bet in last week, so no bet for me. So I remain $1,143.58 up for the season so far. Surly, I'll just double check those numbers. 1,143.58. Yep. That's where I am at the moment. But, we'll continue on because we've got some internationals coming up this weekend. But before we get to that, why don't we have a look at the final from last week? And it was a high-scoring event. And Otago certainly took the game to Canterbury, but in the end, the Red and Blacks were just a wee bit too good, Surly. They, when they needed to, they scored points. And I guess, unfortunately for Otago, they probably didn't make the most of that advantage that the win gave them in the first half.
Yeah, it was a cliche, wasn't it? 10-point win, I guess you could say it was. And Otago looked really good in that first 40, and they used the wind well. But then Canterbury were able to keep it close enough at halftime. And then with all their experience, that I thought their backline in particular, like Dallas McLeod, Braden Enoch, really stood up. And then their loose forwards who have been unreal all year, like Christie. Jeez, does he have a motor on him? And you can tell playing for this franchise and this province means a lot to him. And I just thought in the end, Canterbury were a bit too clinical. I guess they had a bit more finals footy experience. Otago were the youth. Canterbury were the experience. And they just put the ball in the right areas. And in the end, they were they were too strong. Otago didn't roll over, and I thought it made for a really entertaining game. But yeah, Canterbury too good. I was more surprised. I think I saw they hadn't won it since 2017. I don't know why, but it feels like Canterbury every year are either winning it or in the final. But I guess maybe that's that Crusader factor coming in there.
Yeah, probably thinking of the Crusaders and all of their Super Rugby titles. You're right. Canterbury, last time they won was in 2017, but they did win 2015, 2016 too.
Yeah.
So they had a treble there from 2015 to 2017. But yeah, strange that they hadn't won since then. What was that? 8 years ago. Tasman, of course, who were the little brothers previously, won in 2019 and 2020. So there's been a whole lot going down in terms of very, very good rugby down south in the South Island. But if we just look at, you mentioned the back line and in particular the midfield, and is Braden Enoch putting his hand up and saying, hey, don't forget me, All Black selectors. I'm still a very, very good player.
He is a very good player. There was a lot of chat, because I think he just signed an extension this year, didn't he? A 1-year deal maybe to hang around, and there was a lot of talk he'd be going overseas, but maybe he signalled his intentions that he reckons he's got another shot at it. He's in this All Blacks 15, and some good form there might see him play his way in. I would prefer for us to stick with some other younger options potentially, but Enoch is a very good footballer, and I think both him and Dallas McLeod had really good NPC campaigns, and I just think, steadying hands in the midfield, they're classy, they're reliable, you know what you're going to get from them every week, and I think in the end, in this game in particular, it was a massive difference, right?
You say, let's stick with younger players. Well, one young player that's had a massive season was the halfback for Otago, Dylan Pledger, and he had another very, very good game in the final. But he won't be heading across to the Northern Hemisphere for the All Black 15. Do you think they should have found a spot for him, or is it like, he's young enough, let's just give him another sort of a pre-season off sort of thing, get stronger, get fitter, and bang, let's see what you do next season?
Yeah, I was really worked up about it when he didn't make the team, but then when I heard Jamie Joseph's kind of explanation around it, first year of semi-pro rugby, heading into Super Rugby next year, only 74 kilos, so they want to get a bit of weight under him and put him in the gym a little bit. It kind of made a little bit more sense for me, because of course he had that under-20s World Cup as well this year, so he's had a pretty big workload. Personally, rather than the All Blacks 15, I would have liked to have seen him play that like apprentice role in the All Blacks, right, where he just goes along, but he's not actually playing, he's just observing everything, because I think we can all see that he is going to be a mainstay in this All Blacks squad, you would think, for a very long time. So maybe just getting him around that environment, allowing him to absorb all the info and learn little things off guys like Roigard and Cortez and see what it takes to go to the next level without the pressure of having to play, might have been the option personally. But what do you reckon? Were you gutted he wasn't in the All Blacks 15? Like, when you look at the halfbacks still, Fakatava in that, there's some good players in there.
100%. I take nothing away from the players who are in there. I just thought that the season that he had, he certainly deserved to be in and amongst, if not the All Blacks, then at least the All Black 15. And I'm sure we've done that before with younger players. I'm just trying to think, was it one of the Savere brothers? Did we take it? Was it Artie that we took one year just to be in, as you say, to be in and around that All Black sort of environment, to get a feel of what it's like to be on tour, so then to better prepare you for when you do. And it was obvious that Artie was going to be making the step up, then make it just to wet that transition a wee bit more smoother. And I think, I sort of agree with you now that you bring it up, that I think Pledger just being a part of that All Black environment in the Northern Hemisphere for those tests against the English, against the Irish, would really have done him a world of good, even if he wasn't part of the playing squad. So that sounds pretty good to me. And he could have done a whole lot of weights work with the boys over there as well. So I would have loved to have seen him in the environment in some form or another. If you look elsewhere across the two teams, was there anyone else that stood out in the forwards for Canterbury in particular? Boy, that forward pack really, really came to the fore in the second half. I thought they were superb. Christian Leo Willie, once again, he just gets better and better.
He does. And as a Massey High School lad, I'm gutted he's not in the Harbour region, but it's cool to see him rewarding Otago. And it was awesome to hear him speak last week around just always wanting to stay at Otago because they were the first franchise which gave him an opportunity. And in a sport where there's so much movement now, and movement is great for the competition, it's also cool to see guys still with that mindset. But yeah, he's another one that, geez, he must be pushing very close to being in that All Blacks squad because we have some great loose forwards, and it appears your Simon Parker and co have jumped him a little bit. But every time he plays, you just know what you're going to get from him. And he's got that game breaker ability in him as well as ticking all the boxes for his core role. So I thought he was really good. I thought Christie, I've mentioned him a few times now for Canterbury, but I think he's heading offshore, but
yeah.
he will be a big loss. Not so much in terms of All Blacks aspirations, because unfortunately he just didn't quite have that. Maybe that's something that differentiates him outside of his work rate or his expertise at the breakdown. Like he's an out-and-out 7, and we've seen the All Blacks like guys that can play multiple positions or maybe stronger ball carriers, things like that. But I think his service to that region has been massive. So in a way, it was kind of cool to see him go out as a winner. As much as I don't like Canterbury, I think that is a guy who's put his body on the line, and he's just into everything. And I think that sums up that Canterbury pack. Like their aggression on D, their line speed, their work at the breakdown, they were relentless all year, and I think it resulted in the record that they finished with. They were impressive for a team that probably wasn't as stacked as Canterbury sides in previous years gone by, because you have to remember Tasman and that have raided them a bit as well.
Rightio, Surly, enough of the NPC final. But looking at that final, both teams, Canterbury, Otago, from the South Island. Of course, Tasman have been in a number of NPC finals as well. They've won a couple, what was it, about 5 or 6 years ago. So my question to you, has the power base of NPC rugby shifted to the South Island, or has it always been in the South Island for the last decade or so? What do you think about that?
Well, I wouldn't say the last decade or so, because Canterbury and Otago, as we just discussed, haven't had a lot of success in the last decade or so. I will confirm one thing, it's not in the Upper North Island. Unfortunately, Auckland, North Harbour, struggling. Northland, probably counties, Waikato, that they were in the mix. They were our better sides, but yeah, Auckland and Harbour kind of put a line through that. I will say Bay of Plenty, Hawke's Bay, Taranaki finishing 3rd, 4th and 5th. There'd be a few arguments for that sort of region, the old middle to lower North Island, but I do think, yeah, Canterbury, Otago, Tasman, all in the top 6. It would be hard to argue against that, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. And if you look at that Otago side, they're a younger side. You could think they'll take another step forward next season, and it would be surprising not to see them in the mix when it came to the business end of the NPC next season.
Yeah.
Canterbury, where you always sort of expect them to be there or thereabouts, don't you? Even if they don't actually win the big prize. So
they'll have a roof, and they'll have Richie Mo'unga back as well, which has just crossed my mind. So good luck beating Canterbury next year.
Is that what it's all about? You have to get a roof for your stadium if you want to be successful, because Otago have got the roof down there. Yep. Canterbury will have the roof next season. Yep. As you say, Richie Mo'unga will bring the roof down when he puts the red and black on, that red and black jersey back on. So it seems like very, very dangerous times for North Island teams when it comes to the NPC, just with how things went this season and the progression that you can see, definitely from Otago. And you always get a fairly consistent Canterbury team. I know they had that sort of fall off, was it a couple of seasons ago, but boy, they are back, and they just seem to have a well-oiled machine in the Canterbury region, which means that their team just continues to win. That's the power base is in the South Island right now in terms of NPC. There's no doubt in my mind, and it's up to the North Island teams to step their game up to bring that power back to the North Island. But it'll be very interesting to see next season exactly what happens.
Is now
there.
the time then for a North versus South game at the end of the NPC? But it's who you're playing for, not where you were born, because I think then, you know, a Leo Willie or someone comes up and plays for the North, and that would be a big blow for the South. So is it the province that you're playing for at the moment, that's who you represent, and it's a South Island All-Stars versus a North Island All-Stars, but it's based on the province you're playing for at the moment.
Right, yeah, I like that. So it's not a state of origin, it's state of now.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I like that. Yeah, it would. Well, you basically have... Oh, no, you wouldn't actually just have the Canterbury team because there's some very, very good players in Tasman and in Otago as well. So it would be a really, really good mix, and you probably get one or two of those stags, if not in the starting 15, then sitting on the bench. So, yeah, it would be a good spread. Be very interesting to see who would make the North Island team. That would be a bit of a, as you say, I don't think there'd be too many players from the upper North Island representing the North. Well, not with how the teams went this season. No. So I always loved the North v South All Black trial. But yeah, I'd love to see it come back, if not as a state of origin, as a state of now.
Yeah, rate it. Play it under the roof in Dunedin. You get a good crowd, because one thing I forgot to say, those Otago fans that travelled, they made it sound like a home game. And that, for me, was almost the most pleasing thing, right? Like, that's what Otago rugby brings when it's good. The students get involved, plus you got the diehard fans as well. I thought the Otago fans were also one of the MVPs of the day.
Yeah, well, we only have to look across to the other code and see the sort of fans that the Pacific Championship has been garnering over the last couple of weeks. It's been absolutely sensational. And when you get fans who travel and are that passionate, the atmosphere is just crazy, and that's the way it should be. And it makes people want to, if the atmosphere is going to be like that, you want to actually be at the game as opposed to just watching it on telly.
100%. Like, even that Samoa Tonga game, I know it's a different code, but I think as a mutual fan, you were like, get me in there. That would be a great amount of fun. And I felt the same during that Otago Canterbury game, in particular when Otago were winning.
Yeah, they put up a great fight. In fact, I wonder what the Otago to lead at halftime, Canterbury to win was. I'm guessing that would be paying around $6, $6.50, something like that, which wouldn't have been the worst. Probably came in after the toss was made because there was a significant wind down the ground. So once Otago had that wind advantage in the first half, they were always a good chance of leading at halftime. But yeah, well done to Canterbury, deserved champions. They finished top of the table in the regular season, and they were the most consistent team throughout. And unlucky to Otago, but I'm sure brighter days are on the horizon for the blue and gold boys down south.
For sure.
Let's take a quick look at the international rugby that we've got coming up. And the big game for New Zealand fans, of course, the All Blacks heading to Chicago to take on Ireland. And the bookmakers have Ireland, $2.70 outsiders. The All Blacks, $1.45. The Irish are 4.5-point underdogs. The game total is set at 50.5. As we speak right now, neither team has been named. But if you look at this game, is there anyone in particular you would love to see get a run in the black jersey, 1-15?
I want to see Quinn Tupaia back at 13. I think he's earned that right off the back of that performance, and I do wonder if that put a cat amongst the pigeons for the All Black selectors, because I think I'm not 100% sold that they were sure that Quinn would rip up that game at 13, but I think the performance that he put in means that you have to give him another crack there, in my opinion. Surely you can't not give him another go off the back of how good he was against the Wallabies. I think I want to see us stick to that back three as well. Will Jordan, Lester, and Leroy Carter, because for me, I think they've established themselves now as that combo. I could live with a Caleb Clark coming in for Lester, because I thought he was really good as well in the test prior to getting injured. But I think we've now got a better understanding as to who our back three is. I want to see us lock down this midfield, though. And I think Geordie Barrett might have a bit of intel on the Irish after spending a season there over in that competition. He could have been doing an inside spy job. So I think having him at 12, which you'd assume he will be, he might have a bit of intel on how the Irish are going to play and how to break them down.
If you look at the forward pack for the All Blacks, is there anyone that like what's the combination you'd like to see in the loose forwards? Does Artie start in the 8 or the 7? Depending on where he starts, where else do you see Simon Parker? What sort of combo would you like to see there?
I think the big one's at 8, right? Like, I'm a big Wallace Satiti fan, and I'm a true believer that last year when he won World Breakout Player of the Year, that wasn't a fluke, and that in his opportunities this year, he's been really good. He's just had a tough season with injury. I'd like to see him at 8, Artie at 7, Simon Parker at 6. But I do think there's a chance that Peter Lakai might wear that 8 jersey just because of how impressive he's been lately. I have no problem with either of those. I think Parker and Artie are kind of locked in there because I think Artie at 7 is a no-brainer for me. And then you have someone like Duplessis off the bench. That's my preferred trio. That's Satiti at 8 and then Parker and Savia on the flanks. But what do you reckon, mate? Because you're a Wellingtonian. I could see you having one eye towards Peter Lakai, and he certainly deserves it too. But does a Karifi maybe play his way in at 7, Artie at 8?
I'd love to see Peter Lakai in the 8 jersey, Artie in the 7, Simon Parker in the 6, Duplessis coming off the bench, and possibly Artie moving to 8, and then Duplessis coming in and playing open side for the last part of the second half. But we've got so many options here, as you say. Satiti was so good last season. You mentioned Tom Christie from the NPC final, and the reason that he can't get in is because we have an abundance of riches when it comes to the loose forwards, and it's just a matter of where they sit. And because Tom Christie's biggest value or biggest asset is his engine, when we've got players like Artie Severe and Satiti, that sort of asset isn't as valuable as someone who's maybe a wee bit more dynamic. So just unfortunate for Tom Christie. I think in a different era, he would have been the number 1 7 in the All Blacks and would have played a number of test matches for the All Blacks. So just unfortunate for him. There have been a number of All Blacks who have probably been in that position. I think when Sean Fitzpatrick was the All Black hooker, I think Norm Hewitt was the man who just couldn't get a look in, unfortunately. In any other era, he would have been the first hooker picked. So sometimes there are players who are like that, and it's just an unfortunate, it's unfortunate for them. It's great for New Zealand rugby because it means that we've got so much depth in a number of positions. Halfback, is it Roygard? You just put Roygard in there and just let him go?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for Roygard on this tour because I feel like the North are finally going to get to see this player that we've been harping on about for a while now. Like, this is his first proper tour as the starting 9, and I think we'll get a great look at just how good he is, and I think World Rugby will get a great look as well. Everyone knows he's good, but this is his chance to rock up to Twickenham and to stamp his authority, and I think he's in for a massive tour. I'm really keen to see as well, and I hope it happens. Ruben Love get a run at 10 off the bench. I think he's earned the right to have more minutes. I saw a crazy stat the other day that he's only played, under 100 minutes in his All Blacks career so far. It feels like he's been in the squad for so long. So I think Ruben Love deserves a crack too. And while Bodie's injured and you expect D-Mac will get the start there, I think there's place for Love on the bench and he could come on. Will Jordan stays at 15 and we run with that 1-2 punch. I want to see Ruben Love play international footy in the 10 jersey because I think his talent is potentially massive for this side.
So you've got Jordan locked in for the 15. You've got D-Mac locked in for the 10. You've got Roygard locked in for the 9. And then it's a matter of possibly, I don't know. Yeah, like you, Tupaia, I'd love to see in the 13 jersey have another go. But it depends on which way the All Black selectors want to go. And in the forwards, it's whether what mix they sort of want in the loose forward trio. The locks sort of pick themselves at this stage. And then the front row is fairly predictable as well.
Yeah, it is. I reckon all 4 of these tests, we're going to play our strongest sides available. I think the squad they selected indicated that. They've taken no risks, really, have they? And I think Razor sees this as a way to try and finish the season with 4 wins from 4 and just show that it has been a positive first year in charge. And I think he'll be feeling the heat, both internally and externally, a little bit with what's been going on with the assistant coaches and things like that. So I think he's going to want to make a statement. And like Wales, haven't been great lately, but I still expect us to play our best team against them. I don't think they're gonna experiment or muck around too much. I think just getting the win is the most important thing, and I think it starts this week, trying to right the wrongs of the Chicago test last time and making a statement that we're not here to muck around on this tour. We're looking to build off the back of those 2 wins against the Wallabies, and I'd be very surprised if there's mass changes. But in saying that, if Billy Proctor does get the start at 13, he's been the starting 13 in every test apart from the last one. So it's hard to argue with that. If Caleb Clark gets the start on the wing over Leicester, he looked great in that test when he was back before injury too. So there's a few guys that have kind of earned the start that were ruled out of that last game, and now they've opened the door for a few other people. That to me is the main area of contention rather than established starters who we've seen start in almost every game this year. I think they will continue to do so. It's more just, does Proctor get another crack because it was his jersey and Quinn's potentially taken it from him? That's probably the biggest point of interest for me.
Righty-ho. Seen as the All Blacks are in the United States, I've got another question for you. I thought with the basketball season just tipping off there only, a week or so ago, the NFL season is underway as well. I thought, why don't you give me the best All Black player who you think could play for the Chicago Bears?
I think it's Artie, right? And it's a boring answer, but I think Artie Savia would just rip it up. He'd rip up in most sports, to be fair, but I think running back, tight end, he would be phenomenal at either of those. His athleticism, his footwork, his skill set, his pound-for-pound strength, and I think just his swagger. He would suit the American sporting landscape. I saw he rocked up to the press conference the other day with those meta glasses on, and he was filming the journos as they were filming him. He's just got something about him, eh? He's the man, and I think the Americans would love him as well. So, yeah, it's Artie for me in the NFL, but Caleb Clark's got an arm on him. I saw him doing some promo with the LA Rams, so maybe he's an LA Rams guy strictly only, but yeah, he would be a good quarterback. He could have that running game, which quarterbacks need now as well. Mm-hmm. So he would be interesting. A few kickers that could probably get around too, but I think it's Artie for me. What about you?
Yeah, you're probably right. When it comes to kickers, it's certainly place kickers, then you could pick any one of sort of D-Mac.
Geordie would have a great boot on him.
Now, I thought Geordie would be a great wide receiver. Yeah. He's got the height. He's got the skills, he's got the hands, he's got the footwork, he's got a bit of speed as well. I think you could, once he learned the different sort of in and outs, I think he'd make a really, really good wide receiver for an NFL team. But yeah, I agree with you. Artie is the easy answer. But after that, probably a kicker or a punter. And I think there was a former Springbok, Nas Botha, who went across to the NFL back in I think it was the 1980s. And he had a massive boot on him. And I think he went okay. And of course, we've seen a number of AFL players go across because they are very, very good at punting a football. Right, let's have a look at US basketball now. And what player do you think could make a go of it playing for the Chicago basketball team?
It's tough, right? Because it's the land of the giants. So you need some height about you. I've gone with Fabian Holland just because he's 6'8" and he's probably our tallest player, but that's like shooting guard, small forward height. I was thinking, he'd be a great center, but he's too small to be a center. So yeah, it's probably Fabian Holland, because he does have a good skill set on him too. We've seen some offloads, a bit of footwork, some speed. He's a young body that you could mold into a basketball player as well, and he's got the height, but yeah, I'm not sure. I could imagine a Ruben Love or someone like that just being handy at anything he touches, so he'd probably be a good shooter, I can imagine, and he's got a bit of swag about him too, but I think it would be Fabian Holland, but it'd have to be a guard or a small forward, not a big.
Yeah. I was thinking along the lines of Scott Barrett, and I was thinking like a power forward, but then I saw how tall he was, and I thought, yeah, that does that really make it? No, probably not, but he certainly would have the body strength to sort of play as a small power foot. Yeah, it doesn't quite sound right. Otherwise, I'm thinking along the same lines as you. Someone who's a bit of a sharpshooter who would just come on when they needed to spread the game and just knock down threes. And I thought, well, who would do that? I'm thinking, probably a Bodie Barrett or a Will Jordan. They look like the sort of guys that could knock it down from 3-point land. But yeah, it'd be very, very interesting to see if one of the All Blacks could give it a wee bit of a go. But yeah, we think they're big, and they're big in terms of rugby.
Yeah.
But when it comes to basketball, as you say, they go up another level.
I remember, I think it was a few years ago now, the All Blacks were in Japan or China or something, and the Houston Rockets were over there at the same time.
Must have been when Yao Ming was part of the outfit.
Well, James Harden was there, and I remember him standing next to Sam Whitelock, and I'm pretty sure he was taller than Sam Whitelock in a photo. And Harden's a guard, right?
He's
and Whitelock is a big human being. So it's just like, it just puts into perspective. Like everyone says Curry's short. He's like, what, 6'4", 6'5"? And that's almost lock material in rugby. So yeah, they are big human beings. I reckon Rico Ioane would be a good shout for either code as well. Just the way he carries himself, he's quick, great skill set, and I could just imagine him playing up to the crowd and on social media and taking no prisoners, doing the celebrations, the works.
He's got swagger, yeah,
big time.
Righty-ho, let's move on. Let's have a quick look at the other internationals this weekend. And the first one, England up against Australia. And, of course, Australia coming off that very, very tight win against the Japanese last weekend. They would have had a few scares there. And, of course, they lost a couple of locks during that game. So it's a concern for them, the injury room, when it comes to this weekend against England. The bookies have England $1.30, Wallabies $3.40. They're 8.5-point underdogs, the Wallabies. And the game total set at 52.5. Do you give the Wallabies a chance here, Surly? I'm just a wee bit concerned that they may not have enough go forward in that pack to really give that backline the opportunities that they need.
Yeah, I think that you're right. That England pack is just gonna be too strong, and they'll play that English style of footy, right? Put the ball in the right areas and just try wear them down up front. It's going to be interesting, though, because the Wallabies have had a good read on the English and all of these teams, right, in terms of the Lions. So nothing will surprise them. But I think England at home at Twickenham, I think the bookies have got it about right, in my opinion. I think they'll be too strong. And, yeah, I'm not expecting an exciting game plan from the English. I think they're just going to look to outrumble them, fast line speed, similar to what the Lions did in that first test, and take them on physically up front and just be too good. I will say, though, I don't like either of these nations when it comes to sport, and it's a rare time where I will be cheering for the Wallabies.
Wow, we neutral supporter.
Yeah, well, I'm actually half English. My mum was born there, but when it comes to sport, I don't get around the English at all. Yeah.
Let's have a look at another one of the internationals for this weekend. And the Springboks will be playing Japan. You cannot get a bet on the Springboks head-to-head. The Japanese are out at $31. Springboks are 38.5-point favourites. The game total is set at 63.5. Japan were very, very brave against the Wallabies last weekend. This is a different kettle of fish, though. This is a the Springbok pack is not a pack that you can boss around. And then, of course, when they bring the reserves on in the second half, once again, you can't boss them around. So this will be a tough game for the Japanese. That I do like the look of the spread. It's always hard, though, to, first of all, look into Razzie's mind and determine what squad or what team he'll pick for this matchup. But on paper, if he picks his top 15, I'm not sure 38.5 points is enough for Japan.
No, I think South Africa have the depth to do what Aussie didn't do last week, and that is name a team without some of their usual starters and still be good enough to get the win. Am I right? This game's in Wembley? Is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the Springboks are going to be playing there in the UK and against France over the next month. So sort of made sense for them to take that game to Wembley. So, yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how that go, what the crowd sort of is like. I'm sure there's a whole heap of expat South Africans in London anyway. But in terms of the game, they do just look just not just a little bit too strong, way too much strong.
Yeah, I think Rassie's done well in forming a squad of 40 odd, maybe even plus, that could all be called in and have the experience under their belt now of international footy. And I think they would have seen the scare that Japan gave the Wallabies last week, and in a way that shows that they can't muck around with this Japanese team too. So well done to Japan last weekend. I was hoping they could pull off that win. Unfortunate they couldn't, but yeah, you'd have to think South Africa too strong, right?
I think so. The other one, the Scots taking on USA. Once again, you can't get a bet on Scotland head-to-head, but the USA are $31 to win that match. They are 43.5 point favourites, Scotland, against the USA. The game total is set at 63.5. If you were going to have a bet on that game, Surly, would you be taking the plus 43.5 or the minus 43.5?
I think minus, and for me it comes down to the team that the Scots play in this game and whether they decide to go full strength or not. But in saying that, they are next on our list, aren't they? So they'll play the All Blacks the weekend after. You'd think that they would want a bit of a dress rehearsal with mainly their proper side just to get some combinations going and then go from there. So I think they'll be way too strong for the US, and I think this is going to be a pretty one-sided affair. I like watching Scotland play. They're an exciting team to watch. And that game next weekend, without looking past Ireland, of course, who are very dangerous, but we're in for a great 4 weeks of international footy, especially as All Blacks fans and just rugby fans in general, because there's going to be some massive matchups.
Yep, I totally agree. Look, one game that we don't have odds for at the moment, and I've asked the bookies, they'll have odds out for it as soon as both teams have been named. That's the Barbarians up against the All Blacks 15. I'm not sure which way. It'd be very interesting to see what sort of team lines up for the Barbarians. I guess you could say the same for the New Zealand 15 as well. So as soon as those two teams are named, odds will be out for that game, because it's a game that, Surly, I think holds a lot of interest for punters down this side of the world.
Oh, 100%. We want to have a look at those guys that are right on the fringe, right? And I think it's been alluded to that there is potential for guys to spend the week in All Blacks camp as well, if needed, if required. And there'll be a couple young guns in there, like a Caleb Tangito and co, that if there's injuries in those outside backs, I'd love to see guys like that get a crack. There's some Josh Jacob, players like that that'll want to keep up their NPC form and want to stand out and show that they can go to this next level. And then we also know with the Barbarians, anything can happen. They can drink for weeks, but somehow they still show up on the Saturday and play, or they can be incredibly dusty and get put to the sword. So, yeah, Jamie Joseph, coach side, you expect big things from this All Blacks 15, and I'm excited to see the brand of footy they play, because I think they'll throw it around, and we know the Barbars will do the same. There could be some points in this one.
Yeah, certainly. And I think the Barbars still get paid with cash in a paper bag put in their locker. I'm sure.
Drink tokens, bar tabs. Yeah,
that's the tradition. They get paid, and their match fee gets paid in cash in a brown paper bag, and that's what I believe happens. which is really, really funny. And sort of the land that we live in these days, where almost everything is in electronic interaction. I love keeping a wee bit of tradition. If that's the case, that's fantastic. I'm not sure what I'd do with that cash though if I actually got.
Oh, Paulie, we know it's going on the bar, mate. Come on. You'd probably leave owing.
I'd have to come back and play again.
Yeah, for free. Yeah. Pay off your tip.
Righty ho. Why don't we? I think we've come to the end of it now. So I guess it's time for myself and for you to put money where our mouths are and spend our $100 for the week on the games that are there. Or if you want, you can also include the bar game, and we'll put the odds. I'll figure out the odds once they are open. So where do you want to go, Surly?
I'll play a little bit straighter. The Barbars game was tempting, but we don't quite know. Like, that lineup is hard to predict for the New Zealand side, isn't it? So going try scorers there could prove fruitful once the lineups are out, but I'll avoid for now. I'm going to put $50 on the All Blacks 1-12, or New Zealand 1-12, into England at $3.51. So just England head to head in that one. And then my second 50, I'm going to do a same game multi on the New Zealand Ireland game. I'm going to go New Zealand head to head, Roygaard and Leroy Carter anytime try scorers, and multi that up.
Jeez. Nice. I do like that. I'm also going to go 2 bets. I'll have a same game multi on the All Black Irish test. But before that, I'm going to put $50 on. I'm going to go the double as well, but I'm just going to go England to beat Australia and the All Blacks to beat Ireland. Just head to head, both head to head there. And then my same game multi, I'm going to have the All Blacks to win. I'm going to also have Cam Roygaard to score a try. I'm going to have Will Jordan to score a try. And I was going to include one other. Without knowing the team, it's just, I'm pretty sure that Will Jordan and Roygaard will be playing. So I've got them. Yeah. I'll take those 2 to score a try and the All Blacks to win. I'll just leave it at that for now.
Smart. Can I make a late change, actually? Can I make my same game multi $25 and then the other 25 on Leroy Carter first, second, or third? Because am I right? He's either scored first or second so far in every test he's played.
And he's played.
So lock me in for 25 on that as well. I'm a big Leroy Carter fan.
Well,
I'm thinking he's going to be there.
You'll be an even bigger Leroy Carter fan if he does indeed score the first, second, or third try this weekend against Ireland. Righty-ho, I think that's it for another week here at the Pick and Go. Surely, what have you got lined up this weekend? It's pretty quiet. Oh no, it's not. It's not quite this part of the world. No. What do you? I think I already know what you're going to say. What are you up to this weekend?
All eyes on Sunday, Paulie. All eyes on Sunday. All Blacks, obviously, and then we have that clash between the Kiwis and Tonga. I'm going to be one of 1,000 Kiwi fans there, max. It's going to be a Red Sea, but I'm going to do my best to rep the Kiwis kit, and it could be a great Sunday of sport. Really, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, there is plenty on. And as you say, there will be a whole heap of red jerseys, red flags, red socks, you name it, at the game. It will almost feel like a home game for Tonga, I would say. And the noise that their fans make will make it feel like the Tongan Rugby League team will feel like they are at home, which can only help their chances.
100%. And then we roll into Tuesday as well, mate. You know I love a casual flutter on a pony. And the next 7 days are going to be great stuff. NBA, everything, all still rolling. This has to be like the day and age we are in now has to be one of the best for sport, right? Because you've got the baseball on in its finals. You've got literally everything. There's something on non-stop. So, yeah, the TAB must be loving life. The punters have plenty of options to get around.
Yeah, they certainly do. And as you mentioned, next Tuesday, the first Tuesday in November, there's a certain race going on across the ditch in Melbourne, which I'm sure almost every single eye in New Zealand will be on Tuesday. But prior to that, we've got the All Blacks up against the Irish in Chicago, a number of other international test matches to look forward to this weekend as well. And, of course, if you head along, you might see Surly at the big rugby league game. The Kiwis up against Tonga. Righty-ho. Hopefully next week we'll have Pity back after he's cleaned up Wellington College with all the toilet rolls and the canola oil. And we'll have Surly back, and we might have one of either Jeff Wilson or Steve Devine back as well. Of course, Steve Devine, a big ABC fan. Anyone but Canterbury. Unfortunately for Steve, that didn't happen this season. It was the Red and Blacks. Congratulations to the Canterbury rugby team. Deserved champions in the NPC. I look forward to having another chat with you guys on the Pick and Go next week.